Happy Mother's Day. Yeah. The title of my talk today, The Secret of Real Compassion, because that's what most of us hope that we have, that maternal instinct, the God quality of compassion. But I'm going to tell you a secret today. A secret. I'm going to say it about 4 or 5 times. And hopefully you'll get what I'm saying here today, that we all have this innate quality already within us. I'm going to start with a story that happened to me many years ago, 30 years ago maybe. I was living in Chicago at the time. And at that time I was an event planner, and so I would do events for large corporations, usually in hotel ballrooms, sometimes in civic centers, convention centers. And I was at a hotel on the west side of Chicago. We finished around 1 a.m. in the morning. It was a bitter cold February night, probably around 0. And I'm dressed in a suit, skirt, jacket, heels, and I go out to my car, and I was a little excited about getting into a warm car. And so I get in, I drive, and I'm only less than half a mile to the interstate to drive home. I lived downtown at the time. And just as I'm pulling onto the ramp, my engine completely dies. Just like, and the power steering goes out. So I'm like trying to get my car at least onto the side, because even at 1 in the morning in Chicago, there's lots of traffic on the highways. And so cars were just going right around me to get up onto the ramp. I realized that the car wasn't, because it's an incline, would only go so far. So I stop the car, climb out in my suit and heels, and at that moment, as my driver door closed, the lock froze. From the day after on, I carried lock de-icer in my purse for just that reason. Because now I couldn't open up my driver's door. So I opened up the passenger door, and I'm literally pushing the car in my heels over to the side of the road. Car's still passing by me. Fortunately, a gentleman pulled over. And he had a big car. I don't remember what kind of car it was. It looked warm, though. And so he pulls over, he gets out, and he said, "Let me help you." So he helps me push my car off to the side of the road. I get my purse. He says, "Let me take you home." And I said, "I live downtown." Now, that's 45 minutes. And he said, That's okay. I'll take you. Just don't worry about it. Just get in the car." And I looked him up and down, sized him up that he wasn't an axe murderer. So I said, "Okay, thank you, God." So I get in the car, and I vividly remember sinking into his leather seats, just sinking into that and feeling the warmth coming out. He drove me home. As we're driving, he tells me that he lives all the way on the south side. He had been going home. Now, we're talking an hour and a half out of his way by the time he then gets back to the highway and goes down to his home. And I said, "Really, I can take a cab." He goes, "Look, about a month ago, my wife was in the same position as you. She was driving during rush hour, going home, and she was on a bridge in the middle lane, and her car just died. And cars are just like filing by her. Finally, someone stopped and helped her and at least got her out of harm's way, got the car. I don't know what they did, but he said, "I was so grateful that someone stopped, that I swore that day that I would pay it forward. And there you show up on the side of the road." I said, "Thank you, thank you." He gave me his card. I sent him a nice thank you note the next day. I can't remember to this day what he looked like or his name, but I remember the kindness. I remember the compassion that he showed for someone pushing her car through the passenger door, as she's trying to walk in her heels. And I remember thinking, This man just modeled religious science. This man just modeled what it is to be a compassionate, caring person. There's another story I want to share with you about how it can also work against. This man had just gotten into a cab, and they're driving down the street, and all of a sudden this black car pulls out in front of the cab, literally inches away. The cabbie has to slam on his brakes, and to the cabbies and to the passenger's surprise, the guy in the black car leans out the window and starts yelling and shaking his fist at the cab. And he's saying some expletives, and the cabbie just goes, okay. And he just smiles, and the passenger says, wait a minute, this guy just almost hit your cab, almost killed us. Why did you just smile and wave at him? And he said, I call it the law of the garbage truck. That a lot of people have all this animosity, this festering, this hatred, self-hatred, all this just going on within them. And they're going around, and it's like beep, 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 and they're looking for a place to dump. Do you know anybody like that? Have you been like that? Maybe once or twice. And as soon as they find a place to dump it, boom. And he said, I've sworn that I'm not going to be the garbage truck. I'm going to find a way to match the vibration of kindness and love. So even if someone just about sideswipes me, I can still be kind. I'm at choice. Just like Barbara was saying, we're always at choice with how we react. And we're definitely at choice with how we act. And so the compassion that comes up when we feel these things, it actually secretes this wonderful thing called oxytocin in our bodies. And we feel this, it's just a wonderful secretion that goes through our bodies. We actually feel good. So why am I not finding a way to secrete that more often? What is it we as humans are not going, yeah, I want to feel that, come on. Instead, sometimes I find myself looking for a way to be a victim. Are you with me on that? What happens to us, the first secret of compassion, is that life doesn't happen to us. Life is always about us standing firmly rooted in who we are as beings and vibrations of love and meeting whatever comes our way with that kindness and love. Are you with me? And when we do that, we are lifting the vibration of ourselves and thus lifting the vibration of the planet. A friend of mine has this wonderful saying that he says quite a bit, and it's this: let love radiate without concern for results. Isn't that great? Let love radiate without concern for results. And as we take that into our very being, it doesn't matter who shows up. It doesn't matter how things happen to us. It matters that I simply keep showing up. Because if I'm not being given the opportunity to send love back to love, I'm certainly being given the opportunity to practice love, even if love did not come my way. Are you with me? Just because someone else is showing some unskilled behavior, that's what I like to call it. Unskilled behavior with how they are handing out to life. That doesn't mean I have to fall into that. I get to respond in any way that I choose without concern for results. So I'm not doing it to get something. I'm doing it because I'm showing up as spirit, as compassion, as kindness. And this is the wonderful thing. Could it be that simple? Yeah, it's that simple, but it's not easy, is it? It is not easy because each one of us keeps getting the opportunity to practice. My husband works in a retail setting, and trust me, you see the best and the worst of people in that kind of situation. And I keep telling him, what a wonderful opportunity you have. You get to practice this all the time. And he's like, I don't know about that. But he's starting to understand that nothing is happening to him. Even if someone's having a bad day and unloads their dump truck on him, he doesn't have to respond in that way. He can choose another way. And, our culture, sometimes when we say without concern for results, our culture is very results-oriented, isn't it? We really want results. And sometimes I find myself getting caught up in, I want to manifest this, and I want to manifest that. Those are wonderful objectives. But this is going even a step farther, in that even when I don't see the results that I want to, or the behavior coming back to me that I want to, I can still choose to act. Reverend Lloyd Strom had this to say, "It is not uncommon for individuals attracted to metaphysical teachings to attempt to use spiritual laws to get what they want without having to undergo personal change." Can I get an amen on that? Because I have to change to become that which I already am. I'm already prosperity, I'm already kindness, I'm already love, and I have to simply remove the blocks that I have forgotten I've attached to myself along the way. And I want to be a proud, wonderful, centered religious scientist each and every time. I don't want to have a namaste bumper sticker on my car and then flip somebody off because that's not in alignment, guys. I want to be that which I say which I am. We are our own laboratories, right? We get to live this. This is a practical, spiritual philosophy. It's not just something that sounds really wonderful on Sunday mornings and in our classes. This is something that we get to practice each and every day. And something happens when we practice this compassion. I found that Martha Beck is one of my favorite writers, and she had a wonderful story that I thought really perfectly encapsulates this. She was sitting on her porch one day. Now, she lives way out in the woods. And so she was sitting on her porch, nobody around for miles. And she hears a gaggle of turkeys, whatever the common thing of turkeys is, a herd of turkeys, whatever it is, coming up her driveway. And she said they would come up every day, and they would make a beeline over to her bird feeder, because then they would pick at what was left. So she's meditating, and the mantra that she was using that day is, I am the stillness of God. I am the stillness of God. And she hears the turkeys coming up, and the turkeys are here. Okay, I am the stillness of God. And then she doesn't hear anything, and she opens her eyes, and the turkeys have stopped in front of her porch, all looking at her. And she was so surprised, but they had been drawn in by the vibration that she was putting out. I am the stillness of God. And she goes, I couldn't believe it. I see this flock of turkeys there, and all of a sudden, I start, well, how many of them are there? She counted 21. And as soon as she started counting, they started moving, because she was out of the vibration. And she immediately went back to, I am the stillness of God. I am the stillness of God. And as soon as she did that, she said, the turkeys just went, and they plopped down right where they were. And they sat there with her the entire time she meditated. And as soon as she was done, they got up and ran over to the bird feeder where they were headed. And she said it reminded her of what this Dutch physicist found out in 1666. He found out that if you had, do you remember what a metronome is? That little thing that you put on the piano? If you put two of them on there, even if they're going at separate times, eventually they go together. And he called it entrainment. And because this process means that everything, heartbeats, metronomes, everything is in sync with everything else out there. And her entrainment happened with her vibration calling in the turkeys. That's pretty cool. And so if I can know that my vibration is that powerful, that creative, that stilling and calming in this world, do we not need that now? Oh my goodness. If you watch 30 minutes of news, I remember Raymond Charles Barker saying this, if you watch 30 minutes of news, you better be treating for 30 minutes. Because we need to counterbalance that which we are taking in, correct? And so our consciousness, it's up to us to keep putting back out to the world this consciousness that there is only one, that there is only God and love. We just sang that song, and it's so wonderful in here. Now we get to go out and practice it. That no matter what you throw at me, there is only love coming back to you. There's nothing more powerful than that in this entire universe. Nothing more important. So could it be as easy as choosing to show up as a vibration of kindness and compassion? Easy, yes. Or simple, yes. Easy, no. Because I get to practice this day in and day out, and sometimes I fail. Sometimes I miss the mark. Sometimes I don't perform in the way that, or show up in the way that I really want to. But then I just go, okay, Sally, you get another try. You get another try. And each and every time I do that, I know that I can start again. I loved Barbara's analogy of, I got this moment, this day. That's what I've got. I don't have to worry about tomorrow or next week or next year. I've got today. Let me clean up my front porch today and know that I am the vibration of love. I couldn't continue this talk without talking about self-compassion. Is there anyone out here besides me that needs a little more self-compassion? A few of us. There's no one who will ever be harder on me than me. You might fall into that category. And yet, I find that that's the time that I need to show up as love for myself. I get to practice that too. Debbie Ford, who is best known for her book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, she was a fabulous vibration. And she talked about how in her book, Your Holiness, which is all about how we are holy beings and we need to keep recognizing that. But she said that she was living in Miami years ago, and she was living the good life with air quotes. She was owner of a high-end clothing store. She partied. She lived in Miami Beach. She was driving a white Jaguar. She definitely was espousing the good life. Well, what most people would say is the good life. What most people didn't know was that she was really in a heap of hurting because she was hooked on drugs. She had been to rehab several times, and each time it did not take. And she said one day she met someone at a party who she thought, this is going to be my best friend, because this person worked at a pharmacy. And this woman gave her a giant jar of pills. 2 weeks later, that jar was empty, and she realized she had gone through 1,000 pills in that time. She couldn't believe that she had consumed that much. She also had run out of cocaine, so she found herself crawling on the floor of her apartment looking for dollar bills that still had residue on it. She knew she'd reached rock bottom. So she checked herself into a rehab. This was her fourth one. And about day 10, she said it was day 10 that I would typically say, because she had just gotten clean enough, she just had enough of it out of her system, she would tell the staff, I'm healed, I'm ready to go home, and she would check herself out. And within hours, she would be back to the self-hatred, the self-loathing, and taking drugs again. But on this time, on day 10, she knew that if she did that, it was only going to go bad. And so she found her way to the bathroom of this rehab facility. And she said, of all the rehab facilities she'd been in, this one had probably the dirtiest bathroom ever. It was grungy. It smelled of urine. It had the what do you call it between the tile? The grout was black with mold. She said it was just disgusting. But she found herself falling to her knees on that bathroom floor and saying the Serenity Prayer over and over. And she kept saying, God, give me the courage to change. Give me the courage to change. And as she did, something started welling up inside her. She was calling forth that which she wanted to create in her life, which was something new. And she started feeling this peace, this serenity come over her. Now, she still was on the bathroom floor of a rehab, but she decided in that moment, there is something here that I'm going to grab a hold of, and I will change. She went back into the group session that she had left, but every day after that, for the next 18 days of that 28-day program, she went into that bathroom and got on her knees and prayed that same prayer. Grant me the courage to change. And the rest is history. She cleaned up her life, and she was able to move into a whole new way of living. And she said, this place, this bathroom became a sanctuary to her. See, it doesn't matter where it is. It just matters that we get to that place, that vibration of deep knowing that there is something more than what I'm seeing right now. I'm going to look through the obstructed field, and I'm going to see beyond that to the reality of who I am. That I am love, that I am kindness. She said, this holy sanctuary became a place where I could reconnect with the all-loving presence that had delivered me to a higher aspect of myself. And I love this quote from Your Holiness. She says, do not, for one more minute, deny your holiness, your godliness, and the power of your true self, because you are wanted, needed, and more importantly, a holy addition to this world. So open up, commit, and enjoy this journey, your holy ride. See, we're the only ones that can choose our vibrational frequency. We're the only ones who can choose how we show up in this world. And I love how, even though Debbie developed a cancer that eventually took her life, she said, all illness, including my cancer, is an invitation to love ourselves more. Amen to that. Whew. Could it be that simple? Simple, yes. Easy, no. Just showing up and loving ourselves. I'm going to close with my favorite story about compassion. This came from Reverend Karen Frost, who she posted this on Facebook. And she said, what is the kindest thing a stranger has ever said to you or done for you? And someone responded and said, I used to manage an LGBT bookstore when bookstores were still a thing. One night, a caller said, called in and he said he thinks he might be gay. And he was considering harming himself. She goes, we're not a crisis center. I didn't know what to do, but I figured if I could keep him on the phone and keep talking to him, maybe this could help. She said, so I talked to this guy, and I answer questions, and I try to be encouraging, and I'm maybe sounding a little frantic because I'm definitely ignoring the 4 to 5 customers in the store. And this angel of a woman puts her hand on my shoulder and asks for the phone. My turn, she said. And she, this 50-something lesbian, talks to this stranger on the phone, and the line forms behind her. Wow. Every customer in that store knows that call, knows that feeling, and every person takes a turn talking to that man. That's compassion. That's showing up as love in a way that I'm getting God bumps just every time I tell that story. I just get God bumps, and I hope and pray that I am that I show up like that, and I help someone who's desperately reaching out. I hope that I am the kindness, because the secret of real compassion is just show up as that vibration and know that you are already that the divine within you knows how to show up as that. And just do it. Just be it. Just live it. Just like we say all of our Science of Mind teachings, just live it. I hope you take that with you this week. I hope you have a fabulous Mother's Day. Namaste.